Welcome back, everybody, to the Vancouver Woodsmen NBA 2K23 MyNBA Expansion series. And today, we dive into our fourth off-season of the series. We are coming off a really solid playoff run that came up short in the second round in 6 games against the Houston Rockets. We lost 4-2, and they eventually lost in the finals to the Pacers, who were the NBA Finals champions. And right now, we're at a point where, with this current roster, we are watching several players come into their own. Anderson, Rivers, Dosunmu, Wellington, and Zet are all pretty much approaching the point where they're going to be starting their peak. I think Anderson and Wellington are still probably 2 years away each from being at their peak, but Rivers should be reaching it today as we start our next season. And Zet, I think, is probably also going to be at his peak as well. But regardless, a lot of players are coming into their own. They are going to be improving from now until next year. And we have to pretty much decide who we want to keep around because we believe in their current ability and their potential. And who do we want to add to this team to capitalize on the team's current potential. So those are the two things that we have to balance here. And let's just dive right in. I don't really know what else to say other than we're going to figure it out as we go along, as we always do. We've talked about a couple of ideas in the previous couple of episodes, but let's just go right into player retirements. We've got Kevin Love, 18 years in the league. James Harden has retired at age 36. DeMar DeRozan has retired. Brook Lopez, Gordon Hayward, Jonas Valanciunas, Corey Joseph, McCollum, Kemba Walker, Will Barton, Evan Fournier, Terrence Ross, Mike Muscala, Kelly Olynyk, Jordan Clarkson, JaMychal Green, Gary Harris, Dwight Powell, Ben McLemore, and more role players. Staff retirements: Rick Carlisle is gone, and Milt Palacio also retired, Joe Matsula, John Goodwillie, Mike Batiste, Brian O'Connor, and more. And James Harden is the lone Hall of Fame inductee for this season. 24 points per game, 5.6 boards, 7 assists, 1.4 steals. And for retired jerseys, James Harden gets his number 13 retired. That will go up in the Houston rafters. Now we have one of the biggest parts of the episode. And that's because we have the 5th best odds, thanks to our trade with Dallas, to get the first overall pick. And depending on where this lands, this could have a major impact on the future of this team. So let's see what happens. Do we get the 5th pick, or do we get higher or lower? Let's see. Wow, so the Trailblazers get pick 15. The Grizzlies already have moved up to the top 4, which is probably bad for us, if my math is correct. The Blazers also get pick 14. Alright, so as of right now, about halfway through, you got Kings, Blazers, Spurs, Rockets, Raptors, Thunder. Now the Sixers at pick 8. Pick 7 coming up. Prediction is the Lakers, and they do get pick 7. Pick number 6. We have the best shot at this one, and we don't get it. So we are in the top 5 at the very least. No, top 4 at the least. So pick 5. The favorites are the Sound, and they do end up with the 5th overall pick. I think they were in first place, highest odds for the first overall pick. We're going to have a top 3 pick, folks. The Timberwolves have pick 4. Pick 3, highest chance is the Knicks, and it's the Grizzlies. We're going to have a top 2 selection. We're going to have a top 2 pick. The Knicks have the highest chance for pick number 2. And they get it. We have the first overall pick. I actually can't believe this. Something goes right in the draft lottery for the first time for Vancouver. We have the first overall pick, and now things are a lot more murky in terms of what we do. Oh my. Wow. I am genuinely shocked. I thought it was going to be pick 6 or 7 or 8 or somewhere along those lines. No, we get the first overall pick. This reminds me a lot of the Pelicans-Lakers trade for AD, where the Lakers are or were off to a pretty bad start this year, and the Pelicans thought, oh my god, we're going to have the best shot at the first overall pick. Not so much anymore, but it's still a pretty similar situation. Wow, so after that, we now go to our staff, and right now we only have 8 out of 17 spots filled. We got to hire a new assistant GM, a new CFO. We got some open coaching staff spots. We've got some... We have no scouts on our team right now. We could hire some more sports medicine people. I think I'm going to go heavy on the coaching and the sports medicine, because scouting is going to become less and less of a priority as this series goes on. And we're at the point right now where this is probably one of the last draft classes that we're going to be seeing the full peak of the players for. So let's see if we can hire some new people here. Okay, so we are going to hire Mike Dunlap as our new post D coach to a 4-year contract. He's got 4.5 out of 5 stars in defensive coaching. We're also going to be signing a new shot doctor, Darren Ehrman. He's got 4 out of 5 stars for offense. Hopefully, these two both help with not only defense, but also, taking better shots, knocking down the open shots. That should help. We also bring in a new assistant GM, Cody Blunt, and we bring in a new CFO, Greg Towns. We will also hire a new guy for sports science, a new defensive coach for the perimeter, and a new head scout as well. We also sign Javon Woods as our new physio. And we finally signed Steven Gibson as our new wing whisperer, and our full staff is complete. So we go full front office, full coaching staff for the upcoming season. We go with just 1 scout as a head scout, and we have 4 people on our medical team. Well, folks, the draft is here. Before we start, here's what things look like for our team prior to the draft and free agency. We've got Desmond Bane, Wellington, Fredrickson, Herb Jones, Anderson, Rivers, and nobody else currently attached to our team. So guys who currently are not going to be slated to return without any deals being offered yet are currently Miles Turner, Dosunmu, Jalen Smith, Dorian Finney-Smith, Bruce Brown, Malachi Flynn, Omer Azette, and Rich Smalls. All those guys currently are not with the team because they don't have any contracts right now. But the draft is here. Let's jump in. And Vancouver has the first overall pick. And I think we're going to shock the world. And that's because right now, the unanimous first overall pick is Javon Davis. He is supposed to go first overall. He's the highest ranked player in any metric that they've shown. And he's supposed to go first overall. But he is a 6'2 point guard, 77 overall, has 12 badges, 3-level shot creator, and he's very, very good. He's got 1 badge for finishing, 1 for shooting, 7 for playmaking, 3 for defense and rebounding. He's got an all-star ceiling. He's the best shot creator in the entire draft, effortless handle. But the problem with drafting Javon Davis is that his potential is really high. That's a good thing, but it's not as high as a different player. We are also pretty stacked at guard. We've got Wellington. We've got Anderson, depending on where you play him at, shooting guard or small forward. We've got Dosunmu. We're going to probably bring him back, obviously. There's also Desmond Bane. There's also Azette if we bring him back. I don't see a spot for a guard like this because we just drafted a guard like this last draft with Byron Wellington. Davis is probably a better version of Wellington and a better passer too, but I think we don't go point guard here, and I think we go somewhere else instead. And by the way, he's got a 63 shot tendency, compared to his dish to open man tendency, which is only 44. So he's not a guy who's going to be passing the ball. I don't think he would give us a new level to the offense that we don't already have. So instead of him, my eyes are on this guy, Denell Payne. 7'2", 74 overall center, 58 shot tendency as a center, but he's got A+ post defense, A+ rebounding, and A+ potential. And he's got 2 defensive and rebounding badges, brick wall and workhorse. And he is supposed to go either 5th overall or 9th overall. But his ceiling is Wayne Embry, All-NBA. His potential is the next big superstar. He can block shots with the best of them. Should excel at the next level. An absolute monster on the glass at both ends of the court. And I think that we go with him instead of Javon Davis. So, here we go. I'm not going to psych myself out too much. I'm not going to spend too much harping on this. I'm just going to make the pick because I believe in this pick very, very strongly. Denell Payne. Welcome to Vancouver as the first overall pick at a UC San Diego. Is Miles Turner expendable as a free agent? It depends. I think we could be seeing both on this team at the start of the season. But we take Denell Payne first overall to shock the entire draft. The Knicks have pick number 2, and they probably feel like they caught a huge break with Davis being available with this pick. But instead, they take Ralph Nicholson. So Javon Davis is still there. And the Grizzlies won't take him. They take Boris Perkins instead. So Javon Davis has fallen, and he will fall for the time being as Julio Haywood goes 4th overall to Minnesota. Next up is the Sound, and they will pair Javon Davis with their other already solid young guard, who is, I forget what his name is, I think it's Alex Barker is his name. Yeah, so they'll be pairing Javon Davis with Alex Barker. That will be a really solid point guard, shooting guard duo. I am shocked that Javon Davis fell this far after we didn't take him first overall. But he's here. He was taken. The Wizards have pick 6, and they take point guard Darrell Wheeler out of Chicago State. Next up is the Lakers. They select small forward Ross Gill out of Syracuse. The 76ers draft point guard Gus Mack out of Georgia. We had him on our draft board. Owen Rush goes to Oklahoma City. The Raptors at pick 10 will trade this and Perry Ryder to the Hawks. No, to the Jazz for Clint Capella and a first-round pick in this draft. So they get Clint Capella and the 30th overall pick in this round. And the Jazz trade up to draft power forward Chase Peterson out of Evansville, the same school that Horace Rivers went to as a power forward. Houston, on the clock, they take center Guy Cooper out of UNC. The Spurs have 2 straight picks. With their first, they take center Tommy Sanders out of Memphis, 7'1" center. Then, their next pick, they take point guard Dustin Hickson. So, little front court, back court duo for the future. The Trailblazers pick 14. They take center Sean Williams out of Florida State. 6'9", though, so a bit undersized. The Trailblazers, again, they take power forward Max Christie out of Pepperdine University. Or is it college? I don't know. But the Kings next up. They will trade this pick number 16, in exchange for Terry Rozier III and a 2026 first-round pick, which is the 29th overall pick of this draft. And the Celtics take Lawrence Hall, but they're also next up. So, they take Bryce Reeves too. Next up are the Cavaliers, And they take small forward Theo Meyer out of Oklahoma State. New Orleans next up, they take point guard Tyrone Murphy out of DePaul. The Bulls take center Denilson Silva out of Brazil, 7-1. Charlotte on the clock, they take center Michael Maggette out of Florida. The Warriors take center Wallace Nance out of England. A lot of centers being taken here in this draft. It's a front court heavy draft class. And the Milwaukee Bucks take center Gerard Bass here out of Louisville. Oklahoma City next up, they take center Yulong Lee out of Iowa, 6'11". Clippers on the clock, they take shooting guard Kirk Ryan out of San Diego State. Denver on the clock, they take power forward Florian Kalmushi out of Fresno State. The Cavaliers back up, they take power forward Jacques Sonnet out of France. The Magic take point guard Eduardo Diaz, the 5'9" guy out of Mexico who has the 99 dish to open man tendency. So he will be racking up the assists if he plays and does not shoot the ball. The Kings next up take center Oscar Adkins out of Mississippi. Pick number 30 is Mo Hunter out of Georgia. He goes over to Toronto. Oklahoma City takes center Jermaine Spencer. And the last pick of the first round belongs to your NBA Finals champions, the Indiana Pacers. And they select point guard Wesley Moncrief out of Hungary. So we sim through the second round and we now have our draft summary. I will not be going into each player's potential this time around. It'll take too long. But I will go through Donnell Payne and a couple of other players that were drafted towards the top. And I'll look at all the overalls too, briefly. And we'll see what we got here. So first overall pick, as we know, was the 7-2 man, Donnell Payne. 74 overall, 2 badges, but really high potential. And I plan to play him quite a lot. We'll see what he gets us in terms of play time. But he does have A+ potential. Let's go. Now, we just have to capitalize. Ralph Nicholson has 6 badges, 77 overall, and his potential is A. Then Boris Perkins at 76 overall, 2 badges. He's got A potential. Julio Haywood is 77 overall, 1 badge, small forward, A- potential. Then Javon Davis. The 12 badge, 77 overall, unanimous first overall pick. Wasn't drafted at 1. And he does have A potential. He's going to be a really good player right off the bat. Darrell Wheeler, 76 overall, A potential. Ross Skill, 76 overall, A- potential. Gus Mack, 74 overall, A- potential with 5 badges. Owen Rush, he's got A- potential. And the top 10 rounds out with Chase Peterson, who has only B potential. So probably a miss here by Utah. But the rest of the draft, Guy Cooper, 76 overall. Tommy Sanders, 75. Hickson, 75. Sean Williams, 76. Max Christie, 77. Lawrence Hall, 71. He had that high potential too. Bryce Reeves, 76 overall. Theo Myers, 70. Tyrone Murphy, 74, 5 badges. Denilson Silva, 73. Michael Maggette, 73. Wallace Nance, 76. Gerard Bass, 76. Yulong Lee, 76. Kirk Ryan, 75. Kalmushi, 75. Sonnet, 74. Eduardo Diaz, 73. Oscar Adkins, 75 overall, 5 badges. Mo Hunter, 76. Jermaine Spencer, 73. And Wesley Moncrief, 73 as well. In the second round, you had a couple of 72s, a 73 in there, another 73, more low 70s. You got Pete Westbrook at 74. You got Derek Ewing at 74. Francis Love at 75. Everett Temple at 75. Brooke Vaughn at 74. A couple more 74s too. So really similar draft as to usual, but it was a lot of front court players that have the highest upside that we've seen so far. And for rookie signing, we got one guy to sign, and he's here to stay for at least his rookie deal and probably beyond that too. Team player options. We're going to accept both for Anderson and for Rivers. So welcome back to those two guys. They've definitely earned it. So, by the way, Anderson, 84 overall, 10 badges. Rivers, 81 overall, 7 badges. Keep that in mind for the player progression later on in the episode. We'll see how much these two numbers change. Qualifying offers. I am going to extend offers for both Azette and Rich Spalls, and here's why. I do want to bring Azette back and probably give him one more year to see what he can do, and then we'll go from there. For Rich Smalls, I think he is a good option to have as a backup point guard off of the reserves team if someone gets hurt. Because I want to bring back Dosunmu, and if we bring back Azette, we'll probably have a full guard slot for point guard and shooting guard. And so Smalls can just be the guy that comes in case a guy gets hurt. And I think that's fine. So we have reached moratorium, and here is what our roster looks like. We've got Desmond Bane, Anderson, Jones, Rivers, Wellington, Payne, and Fredrickson. So really we have 1 point guard, 1 shooting guard, 2 small forwards, 1 power forward, and 2 centers. And we'll see what happens in moratorium. So first, here are your free agents. We have $90 million in terms of cap hold and negative $41 million in terms of cap room. So we'll see how much we have to actually work with later on. But here we have Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Kyrie, Jimmy Butler, Jabari Smith Jr., Jarrett Allen, DeAndre Ayton, Chet Holmgren, Jaren Jackson Jr., Bam Adebayo, Jordan Poole, De'Aaron Fox, Paolo Banchero. So some of these guys are RFAs, but they're still here. And Miles Turner's down here somewhere. He's 30 years old, 83 overall, but he does fit our system extremely well. And I kind of want to bring him back. We have bird rights, so in case we have to go over the cap limit, we can bring him back as well. And I think he's probably worth bringing back unless there's a better option out there somewhere else. Now, with Horace Rivers, I talked about this in the comments from last episode, if you guys want to go look through those. But in that little conversation I had with a couple of commenters, I did acknowledge that next year, I do want to see an offensive improvement in terms of shooting percentage for Rivers. That's because he did not play well offensively except for a couple of games in the playoffs. And overall, during the year, I still want to get better offensive games from him. And if we don't, after this year, we'll just have to see what happens. But I still think that Rivers needs to show an improvement to really cement himself as the future of the team at power forward. But because of that, I'm not going to make a big, splash signing at power forward this year. And also, I don't know if I'm going to bring back Jalen Smith. I think I'm going to go a different direction here. And also, if we bring back Turner, which I do want to do, we'll have Rivers, Turner, and Payne, plus whoever else we sign, and Fredrickson. And with those guys, you can swap those guys around. We can start Payne with Turner, or Payne with Rivers, or have Rivers off the bench, or Payne off the bench, or even Turner off the bench too. So there are lots of options there to mismatch and all that stuff. But I think for now, we'll start off by trying to bring back Miles Turner because we know what we get from him. We don't know what we get from these players above him if we were to sign them. We know who they are on other teams, but players can play differently on different teams. So I'm going to bring back Miles Turner, and I'm going to offer him probably a 2-year deal because this gives us the option of seeing what is his regression-like. And it also gives 2 years for Payne to reach the overall that Turner is at after these 2 years, due to regression from him and progression from Payne. So I'm down to offer Turner the steal. I'm going to try and lower it a bit, and we'll see if he takes this. So 2 years, about $20 million per season. We'll offer that and see what we get. For Zet, he shot pretty well last year, but his numbers really did not improve that much, except for overall field goal percentage. Otherwise, he stayed pretty much the exact same as he was. But I do want to bring him back and give him one more shot at things, because I think he plays better with better players around him, and he's kind of a cheap option for us, and he's not bad either. And I think there's also probably one last step, one last improvement he'll make between now and next season. So I'll give him, let's see a 1-year deal for Zed and see if he takes that. And then for Dosunmu, these numbers don't tell the full story, because in reality, he played the most important minutes when he was playing like 27 off the bench. And when he did, he played very well. In fact, his splits this year are a marked improvement from last season. So I want to bring him back. I liked what he gave us off the bench this past year, and I believe in him for at least 2 more seasons. So we'll offer that too. All of our offers are out there. We'll see if they agree, and we'll get rid of all the cap holds and whatnot. But right now, apparently, Turner, Azet, and Dosunmu will all agree to deals to come back. So we'll see if we can do that. We're going to renounce our rights to Bruce Brown, Smith, Smalls, Finney Smith, and Malachi Flynn. We'll try and get through this with all that stuff being done. All right, so last day of moratorium, and we're going to bring back Azet, Turner, and Dosunmu. We're going to try and run this back with most of the pieces that we had last season. All right, so day 1 of 12 of the open market, and here are a couple of huge signings across the league. KD is heading to Utah. Steph Curry is back to the Warriors on a 1-year deal. Kyrie returns to Houston on a 4-year deal at 34 years old. Jabari Smith also returns to Houston. Jarrett Allen returns to Cleveland. DeAndre Ayton returns to Phoenix. Holmgren returns to OKC. Bam returns to the Heat. Poole goes to Portland. Anthony Simons heads to Brooklyn. Miles Bridges, I believe, returns to Washington. Vucevic goes to Philadelphia. Miles Turner obviously returns to us. Suggs returns to Orlando. Mikal Bridges back to Phoenix. Dosunmu back to Vancouver. And here are a couple more other signings as well. Jalen Smith did sign with Dallas, so he will not be returning to Vancouver. And pretty much Payne can act as his replacement, which is cool. And we also matched the offer sheet for Azet, which means that we got less money against our salary cap than it would have been for the deal that we offered him. So we do get the offer sheet there, so that works out for us. And now we have $13 million worth of cap room left to make any additional signings. We'll change Azet back to shooting guard as his main position, and we'll put small forward as his secondary one for now. And Grant Williams will sign with us, but just real quick, I'll check his stats. It seems like he was not even on a team this past season, but the last time that he played was with the Celtics, and he had 10.3 points per game, 3.7 boards, 45% from the field, 40% from 3, 85% at the line, and 27 minutes per game. I like that. That sounds good to me. So welcome to Vancouver, Grant Williams. So now we have $3 million left in cap room, and I think I have to sign 1 or 2 more players to round out the roster, so I'll do that real quick. So Rich Smalls is still here, but I'm pretty sure we took off the qualifying offers, so instead of targeting him, I'm going to go for somebody else that is a better system match that we can sign to come off the bench if we need them to. It seems like Tyus Jones might be in store for a return here. Let's see if he would take the deal that we can offer him. I mean, we can go a bit over maybe for the cap room to bring him in, but I don't want to give him $10 million to be a guy who's not going to play. So I'll try and lower this as much as I can. Let's try this. We'll offer that. We'll see if he takes that one. And then for other positions, I think we should probably target a small forward to be a backup just in case someone gets hurt. And in terms of system match and cheapness, Josh Hart maybe, or Denny Avdia. Let's try and offer Josh Hart. We have brought back Tyus Jones on a 2-year, $15 million deal, and he will be the third string point guard behind Wellington and Asunmu. And, you know, I talked about bringing in a point guard that had a high assist number, but after seeing Wellington play and kind of feeling like he'll take a big step between now and next season, I feel comfortable with him as the starter going forward. So we're going to stick with him instead of bringing somebody else in. Now, about Will Hollins, I brought his name up a couple of episodes back when I was talking about this point guard situation, and he is restricted, so the Warriors would probably match any offer for him, so I'm not going to bother there. And we'll try and sign another small forward because we cannot sign Josh Hart because it would put us over the cap. So we can sign a guy to a vet minimum, and that's pretty much it. So in that case, maybe Josh Richardson comes back. We had him a while ago. Maybe he returns just as a guy off the bench in case someone gets hurt. I don't see why not. I don't see him playing, but we'll offer a deal to him. And we do bring him in. And that's our last signing of the episode. So some more big deals for you. Shadon Sharp goes over to New Orleans on a big 4-year deal. Grammy Sochan goes to the Grizzlies. Dyson Daniels over to the Hornets. And the Wizards have signed Paolo Banchero. The Magic don't utilize or even make Paolo restricted, so he moves on to somewhere else. And he's going to Washington. Here's a couple of 1-year deals the Warriors did bring back Will Hollins. There were some bigger deals made too down here, I think. If I can find them, these are all 1-year deals. So Gobert goes to the Celtics. We see that. D'Angelo Russell signed with the Jazz. Davion Mitchell signed with Minnesota. Bones Highland goes to Portland. Wendell Carter goes to the Nets. The Sound bring in the Time Lord on a 4-year deal. Nikola Jovic returns to Miami. Cam Johnson, 3-year deal with New Orleans. Marcus Smart goes to Portland. Aaron Fox re-signed with the Kings. Andrew Wiggins back to the Warriors. The Nets bring in Jaden Ivey on a 4-year deal. I think we already saw that, though. Jaren Jackson Jr. goes to the Sound. Butler re-signs with the Heat. And I think those are all the big deals. I think we covered all of them. But player progression, and oh boy, I love seeing that. Anderson is now up to an 88 overall with 18 badges. So he goes from 10 to 18 badges, and from at the start of this past year, I think he was 82 overall, and he's now up to 88. That's incredible. He's got better inside scoring, better mid-range shooting, better inside defense, outside defense, playmaking, physicals, IQ, everything gets better. That's awesome. So his badges now look like this. He's got 4 for finishing. He's got Pro Touch, additional boost for having good layup timing. That's gold. He's got Bronze Acrobat, Bronze Fearless Finisher, and Bronze Limitless Takeoff. For shooting, he now has Gold Corner Specialist, Gold Green Machine, Silver Agent 3, Silver Catch and Shoot, Silver Claymore, silver slippery off ball, silver volume shooter, bronze amped, bronze comeback kid, bronze deadeye, bronze guard up, and bronze limitless range. He's got bronze mismatch expert and bronze chase down artist. And personality traits, he's got work ethic, alpha dog, keep it real, and laid back. Alpha dog is new. Not new to the game, but new to him because I have been checking their personality traits, and alpha dog is a pretty rare one to find, and he did not have this before this season, so that is good to see as well. That will hopefully have an intangible effect on the team as well, and his own play too. Desmond Bane pretty much stays the same. He does get a bit worse in terms of inside scoring and physicals, probably due to his injury. But in terms of badges, I'm not sure if that changed, but overall it does not change. Miles Turner stays the same, except better three-point shooting, which is good to see. Herb Jones stays the exact same. Rivers does not gain a badge or an overall point, really pretty much plays or stays where he was. But better three-point shooting, that goes up, and hopefully that will help too. Sunmu gets better three-point shooting and stays pretty much as is. Grant Williams, not much of a change here. Wellington, less of a change than I would have hoped for. Badges, I'm pretty sure did improve, which means that we should get better play from him this year as well. IQ went up, but aside from that, nothing else really went up. So I'm curious if he's reached his ceiling perhaps, and if so, hopefully he plays better than his overall does. His potential is B, and he's at 77, 78 overall, so he might have reached his peak. I'm not entirely sure on that, but for his badges, he's got silver fearless finisher, bronze acrobat, silver green machine, 6 playmaking ones for ankle breaker, quick first step, bailout, clamp breaker, and killer combos and special delivery. And then he's got 1 for defense too, with a rebound chaser, and he's got pat my back and work ethic. Rivers has 5 shooting badges, including a gold catch and shoot, 1 for playmaking, 1 for defense. He's got expressive, extremely confident, keep it real, media ringmaster, and a work ethic. And Tyus Jones, no improvement here. He pretty much stays as he was. Zet at shooting guard is at a lower overall than at small forward, but he does gain improvements in inside scoring and mid-range scoring and IQ. Richardson does go down in pretty much all categories, but he won't play that much, so I don't see him having a pretty big impact. And I think that we will actually probably go with Grant Williams getting play time over Fredrickson, because he's probably going to plateau here soon enough at like 74, 75, and I want to get Payne lots of playing time. The All-Star City is Washington, D.C., so the nation's capital will host the All-Star Weekend in the upcoming season, the 2026-2027 season. All right, so our game plan officially set for the upcoming year, which will probably change as the year goes on, as it always does. Right now, we're going to start Wellington, Bane, Anderson, Rivers, and Turner. We're going to give Wellington 26 minutes, Bane 31, Anderson 36, playing big minutes as our new superstar player. Rivers at 26, Turner at 27. Then off the bench, we got 3 guys getting big minutes, and that's going to be Herb Jones, Dosunmu, and Payne for just getting his potential where it needs to be, keeping it where it is, and hopefully getting him some valuable playing time. And maybe eventually might find his way into our starting lineup, just depending on how he plays. But he, Dosunmu, and Jones will all get 24 minutes off the bench to start. Again, we have lots of players that we can figure out how to put in and put in where. And so yeah, that's an option for us too. We can figure it out as we go along. But we're also going to play Zet and Grant Williams off the bench too. They'll get probably 12 minutes, 10 minutes off the bench for each of them. And then we'll just see how the year goes from there. So that's how we're going to start the year. And yeah. And Vancouver opens the year at home against the San Antonio Spurs on national television. I cannot wait for that episode. And the Spurs, of course, have Calvin Gordon, Kristaps Porzingis, Keldon Johnson, Tommy Shepard, Darius Bazley, Obi Toppin, and more. But the real story is Calvin Gordon. An amazing player, already up to 89 overall. He's already better than Anderson is, and he's been in the league for one less year than he has. So Anderson goes into his third year, Gordon going into his second, Rivers going into his fourth season in the NBA, and Wellington going into his second year as well. So we open the year against San Antonio at home, and that is coming your way soon. Thanks, guys, so much for watching, for having conversations in the comment section. I love seeing that. Keep doing that. Please like the videos, like the comments, subscribe, of course. Like 60% of y'all who watch me aren't subscribed. Figure it out. Click the freaking button, man. Come on. And let me know what you guys thought of this offseason. We got super lucky with our draft pick. And I really do think that once Payne gets to the start or near the start of his prime, this team will take off. So we get to watch that entire sequence unfold over a couple of seasons. So until Year 5 begins next episode, guys, take care and go Woodsmen.